Checking in, are we? You're just in time. We only have 2 rooms left. Since this was chosen as the building site for the new Jade Chamber, we've had a constant stream of people in this area. And not just workers either. Visitors, business people, tea sellers, all sorts. So, business is booming for me today. Very few vacancies. You're lucky you got here when you did.
Great!
One of your rooms is still being cleaned. I guess it should be ready within the hour. The other room is just through the door on the left. Here are your keys. All right. Hope you enjoy your stay. Please excuse me, I'll leave you to it.
Shenhe, you should go get some rest. We'll hang around outside until the other room's ready. Hyman's gonna go see if there's anything good to eat around here. Hyman couldn't help but notice one of the guests walk in with a huge grilled chicken drumstick before. Let's buy one for Shenhe too. She can have it as a midnight snack, or save it for breakfast tomorrow.
All right. I will head to my room for now. If you need anything, don't hesitate to disturb me. I'm a light sleeper. I will hear if you knock on the door. See you tomorrow.
Hey! Isn't that Cloud Retainer? What's she doing here? Let's go and say hi.
One trusts you have met Shenhe. So, are you getting along quite well?
So far, so good. Yeah. So, you know Shenhe too, Cloud Retainer?
Naturally. Save for Ganyu, who spends the majority of her time.
Cool. So, calling her Shenhe feels kind of friendly, but also kind of
Her Adeptus name. Why, pray tell, would Shenhe have an Adeptus name?
Don't all Adepti have a special title they go by?
On this latter point, you are correct. However, Shenhe is human.
Oh, right. Wait, what? What? You knew already? So is Paimon the only one who didn't know?
Do you mean to say that she presents differently from ordinary human beings?
Well, to start with, her problem-solving methods are extremely direct.
Ah, yes. She was like this all those years ago when one first met her. In this respect, she has not changed. One first found Shenhe by chance in a cave. One was passing by and sensed the presence of a god's remains. Being of an ever-vigilant disposition, one entered immediately to inspect the scene. Inside was Shenhe, then aged around 6 years old. In her hand, she held a dagger with which she was confronting a monster that was the god's remains incarnate.
That sounds so dangerous.
When one arrived, she had already been locked in confrontation with this monster for several days. Most mortal children are fragile, both physically and mentally, and are highly reliant on their parents for survival. But not so her. That she was able to endure such terrible danger was due not only to her strong willpower, but also to the bloodlust and homicidal instinct with which she was born. One dealt with the monster, yet she still refused to lower her guard. She even pointed her dagger in one's direction and remained ready to strike. Only after she was satisfied that one had no intention to cause her harm did she finally relent. She then passed out without uttering a single word.
In other words, if you hadn't passed by that day, Shenhua might have...
Not necessarily. Upon one's arrival, one could sense that the god's wrath was gradually receding. Even had the stalemate continued, one suspects that Shenhe may have still emerged the victor of the confrontation.
That's still so dangerous, though. Why was a tiny little kid battling against the wrath of a god in the first place?
Alas, the mortal world is rife with suffering of every kind, and she had experienced her fair share of this, even at a tender age. Seeing that she was homeless, one decided to adopt her. Indeed, it is one to whom she refers. Shenhe has an extraordinary constitution, making her well adapted to practicing the Adepti arts. All the Adepti cherished her talents, and so we were willing to train her. However, her homicidal urges did not subside with age. Rather, they grew stronger day by day. Mooncarver once performed a divination for her. He declared that her fate is to bear the curse of calamity. Consumed by malevolent energy, she is prone to bring harm to those around her. Such is the magnitude of the danger this poses, that her soul must be bound with red ropes to keep her homicidal instinct at bay. The red ropes have indeed served to keep her calmer and more content. They also seem to have rendered her somewhat inexpressive. Perhaps the red ropes are so powerful that they have suppressed some of her other emotions as well. It is only by fate that people's paths may cross. Now that Shenhe's path has crossed with yours, please be sure to treasure the gift that fate has given you, and take good care of her.
Paimon gets it. You came out here to check up on Shenhua because you were worried about her, didn't you?
Huh. You dare draw such a facile conclusion on the nature of one's present excursion? Incorrect. The truth is that while Liyue Harbor may seem peaceful today, danger is always lurking in the shadows. Ningguang once made a bold assertion that this is to be the era of the contract between Liyue and the humans. Well, one is most curious to observe how she will respond to the coming storm. If she handles it admirably, one is willing to be a witness to her achievements. But if she does not, the Adepti shall not hesitate to seize control. Let us conclude our conversation here for today. One has occupied enough of your time, and night is approaching. Be sure to get ample rest.
So, Shenhua isn't an Adeptus after all. She just grew up around the Adepti. Oh, no wonder she doesn't... Hey! So, Shenhua...
Master has relayed my situation to you, I take it.
Oh? How did you know?
I'd intended to wait until you came back before going to sleep, but I didn't hear you come in. I was worried that something may have happened to you, so I went outside to check and caught sight of my master. On top of this, you have been acting very strangely around me this morning, causing me to suspect that my master must have told you everything about me. After all, Master is... very talkative.
Sorry, Shenhua. Paimon had you down as an Adeptus this whole time, but It turns out Paimon was wrong.
It's okay. I don't mind. The fault is mine for not explaining everything to you sooner, because in my experience, trying to explain is a futile pursuit. Still, though you mistook me for an Adeptus, you never treated me as distant and unapproachable. Instead, you treated me as you would a friend. For this, I am very grateful indeed.
To be fair, we've met our fair share of real Adepti, too. Anyway, now it's settled. From now on, you're our friend. Whether you're an Adeptus or a human isn't the important thing. First and foremost, we're just plain old friends.
Got it. Although I don't know quite what it entails in terms of what I have to do, I must say I like the title, Friend, very much indeed.
Great! Well, now that we're all rested up, we should start searching for the other 2 items on the list. But before we do that, let's go to the building site and ask Ningguang's little helper how the progress is going. After all, sunset vermilionite is so rare. Paimon doubts many competitors will really be able to find any. If it turns out some of them have given up already, we'll be able to take things a little more slowly. Oh, and another thing. We bought some grilled chicken drumsticks on the way back last night. There was a place just outside. Here's one for you, Shenhua. Try it! They're so good.
I concur. It has a rich flavor, far more agreeable than those I've cooked for myself in the wilderness in the past.
Look! The Jade Chamber is floating into the sky! But it seems to be tied down by something.
That's because it's not finished.
Hey, Byron! And hey! People Paimon doesn't know?
Given the enormous scale of the Jade Chamber, we split the construction work into 2 phases to make sure the structure remains balanced. Before we find some suitable plastrite, we build the Jade Chamber's keel at ground level. Once the plastrite is ready, we place it into the keel and let the partially constructed Jade Chamber rise up to the height of the surrounding mountain peaks. The remainder of the construction work is then carried out at that altitude. Once everything is ready, we release the iron tethers and allow the Jade Chamber to rise to its target altitude.
Miss Bywin, we've brought some new materials to submit.
One moment, I'll be right there. The construction work has only been able to progress this rapidly thanks to the plastrite provided by you. Lady Ningguang is most grateful and looks forward to seeing more of your work.
Wow, can't believe you sourced the plastrite so quickly. It's the key piece of the puzzle. Looks like you beat us to the punch. Wait, I know you. You're the one who fought against the Vatuian Osile, right? Oh, sure enough, your reputation precedes you. Pleased to meet you. I'm Beto, captain of the Crux.
Beto? Are you here to join the Jade Chamber contest too?
Sure am. I happened to get my hands on a chunk of sunset vermilionite on a voyage a while back, so I figured I'd bring it over.
Huh. So even though it's rare, we're not the only ones who managed to get a hold of it.
Oh, I've got some introductions to do. This is the renowned Miss Yun, or Yunjin, probably the most famous figure in the Liyue opera scene.
Greetings.
These 2 are Paimon and the Traveler. I'm sure you've heard of them before. And this is... sorry, I'm not sure we've met.
Shenhua. I am their... friend.
Good to meet you. Well, from today on, I guess all of us are friends. Miss Yoon is also here for the contest. Turns out she needed to borrow a boat, so we came together.
It's an honor to finally meet you both. I've heard much about you. Miss Shenhe, though we are only meeting for the first time, I have a feeling that we will get along very well indeed. To be honest with you all, I am in great need of this opportunity to ask Lady Ningguang a question. That's why I joined the contest. Thanks to my father's connections, I was able to acquire a specimen of the plastrite required. Fortunately, it was approved for submission, despite being a little on the diminutive side. Wow. So it looks like the three of us are competitors now. Excuse me for prying, Miss Shenhe, but are you competing as well?
No, I don't have any questions for Ningguang. I just wanted to help him win.
In that case, I have a proposal to make. Lady Ningguang said that the first 3 contestants to procure all 3 materials will be awarded the chance to ask a question. Well, there are 3 teams here. We can split the prize between us. Instead of competing against each other, we could work together to secure the top 3 places between us. What do you think? Sounds great, but how does it change things exactly?
I think I see where you're going with this, Miss Yoon. The plastrite was the most difficult item to source by a long shot. Luckily, all 3 of us managed to get our hands on it. The 2 remaining items aren't quite so rare, so as long as one of us finds a way to source it, the other 2 can hop on the bandwagon. How'd I do? Is that what you had in mind?
Precisely.
Huh. Interesting approach.
Okay then. All right, I'll go first. I have some leads on these wonder cores. From what I've heard, the core itself is really not that difficult to make. The hard part is getting hold of the ore used as raw materials. I'm gonna head back to the ship and ask Suling if he's heard of them. You guys...
We will head into town and seek advice from Master Zhang of Hanfeng's Ironmongers. Thoughts?
Wonderful. We'll split into teams then, and whoever makes progress first brings all of us a step closer to victory. I'm gonna take off. See you later.
Okay, let's go! By the way, what question are you gonna ask Ningguang, Yunjin? I'm looking for a venue to host the performance of our new opera. Lady Ningguang has excellent judgment, so I would like to hear her opinion. Ooh, what's the opera called? Paimon wants to go see it. The opera is a labor of love by my father. He wrote it based on a popular urban legend about an evil spirit and an adeptus. It's called The Divine Damsel of Devastation.
Ah, hello. Are you here for something off the shelf, or do you need something forged?
Excuse me, Master Zhang. We were wondering if you'd heard of something called a Wonder Core.
Of course I have. Sorry, who's asking?
My name is Yunjin. Perhaps you don't know me, but I believe that you forged some weaponry for my father in the past, for stage use.
Yunjin? Stage use? Oh, so you must be Miss Yoon. Sorry, my brain's finally caught up. It's not used to doing much beyond bashing a hammer all day. Everyone's heard of you, Miss Yoon, even folks who don't make it to the opera all that often. Like myself. So, you're here to ask about wonder cores, huh? As it happens, I do know how to make them. Matter of fact, I made some for Lady Ningguang back when she was building the original Jade Chamber. The types of ore needed to make wonder cores are a little hard to come by. Lady Ningguang supplied them herself last time. I don't suppose you've brought any yourselves?
No, we were gonna ask you what kinds of ore we need.
Sure. Well, you'll need two kinds. Star Splinter Iron and Subrosium. If I remember correctly, Lady Ningguang sourced her Star Splinter Iron from the Mount Tianheng area. They say it resonates with visions. It could take some work, but if you stick with it, you'll find some eventually. As for the Subrosium, though, that's trickier. It's all but unheard of on the market. I'm really not sure. Sorry. What I've heard is that the people around Mount Tianheng have some sort of magic trick that can pinpoint the location of the stuff. Of course, it's probably just hearsay. If you want my advice, start by looking for Star Splinter Iron around Mount Tianheng. And if you run into any locals, ask them a few questions about Subrosium.
Mount Tianheng.
Interestingly enough, the story of the divine damsel of devastation also takes place on that mountain. I hear the view there is quite spectacular. A favorite destination of the Adepti, in fact. Perhaps it can give me some inspiration. Let's not delay. We should head straight there. I came to Mount Tianheng once with my father as a child. I remember it being such a long climb that I could barely feel my legs by the time we reached the top. This is quite a trip down memory lane for me. Look at these majestic, towering peaks and the gently flowing streams. It's like setting foot in paradise. No wonder the legend of the divine damsel of devastation is said to have taken place here. Adepti wander oft where mortals seldom stride. Indeed, this looks like a place that one might expect to be frequented by Adepti. The divine damsel of devastation is your upcoming opera, right? And the story takes place in Mount Tianheng. Huh. Seems like you have a real connection with this place. What's the story about, though? It's the story of a girl becoming a hero. Cool! A hero story? They're Paimon's favorite! The legend first arose in this area. It is said that there used to be a prosperous village on the mountain. In that village, there was a loving couple who were completely devoted to one another. One day, a terrifying monster appeared. The wife was out collecting herbs and was captured by the monster. Her husband was so distraught at the news that it broke his spirit and drove him to madness. The vile and vicious monster told the villagers, "If you want to live, you must sacrifice a child to me." What a nasty piece of work! Paimon sure hopes this monster gets put in its place! But the monster was so terrible and so strong that all within the village were terrified of it. They had no choice but to give in to the monster's demand. Just while they were discussing whose child would be given over to the monster, a little girl suddenly stood up and came forward. No! Don't do it, little girl! Unbeknownst to anybody else, she was concealing an exorcist's blade. She approached the monster's lair, feigning fear and trepidation. When she finally arrived, she courageously drew her sword and entered into a fierce struggle with the monster, from which she eventually emerged as the victor. Her extraordinary abilities drew the attention of the